Hi all, my name is Harshpal. In this tutorial I am going to show you how to deploy a checkpoint cluster in Microsoft Azure. So this tutorial is based on the article SK110194. If you go through this article you will get to know all the details how basically we deploy the cluster in Azure environment. And so this is the topology that we are going to use. If you look at here, we have the external and internal subnet. Okay, so I'll come to the Azure portal. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to create the virtual network. So we'll go to the virtual network, we'll say add new virtual network. So I'm just starting from the scratch so that for the beginner it can be helpful. I'll give it a name mynet, and I'll give it the address space. So this is your vnet address space /16 I'll say, and the first subnet that it will create, I'll give it a name. So I'll say let's say external. I'll keep it same. Let's give it a resource group name, create a new resource group. Okay, so this is the article. If you go through it, you can see all the details, the topology, netting script, what are the script you need to run, the dashboard configuration. So everything is mentioned into detail in this article. So I'm seeing the vnet has been created now. Let's go to the subnets. Okay, so you see the external subnet is already there. So I'll go ahead and I'll create the internal subnet. Okay, let's give it a name internal, and 10.0.1.0/24 would be my internal subnet. So if you look at here, 10.0.0.0/24 is external, 10.0.1.0 is internal, and we'll have the web subnet and DB subnet. And we'll see basically how can the traffic can be routed from web to the DB, or DB to the web, or web DB to the internet via checkpoint gateway using the Azure UDR. And we also have the management server which will be on to the external side. Based on your topology, your design, you can have it like in internal as well if you have the connectivity via to the Azure via express route, or might be via VPN. So let me just create a web subnet here. Okay, so 10.0.2.0 is web subnet. Now I'll go ahead, I'll create the DB subnet as well. Let's give it a name, db-subnet 10.0.3.0/24. Okay, so subnets are ready. I'll go to the marketplace. Now in marketplace, just type checkpoint. You will see all the available images by the checkpoint, right? So if you look at here on the external side, we have the management server 10.0.0.4. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to launch the management server image, and that will be based on the RAT. Okay, so let's go ahead, just type again checkpoint. Okay, so you see checkpoint RAT security management here. Select it, just say create. Give it a name, let's say management dash ret. Oops, oh, I think it doesn't take dash, so we need to give management ret. Just give it a password. So this is the Gaia portal password. Confirm it. Create a resource group for the management server. I'll say resource group dash mgmt. Let's say okay. Virtual network mynet. Okay, and we'll define the subnet. So as I said, the management server I'm going to have into the external side. I'll select it, say okay. So here you can see all the subnets are available. Select the external one for management, right? So we got web and all. Let's say okay. Click on OK. Go to the step 3. So here I think we need to define the image size, so the number of cores and all. So I'll select 2 core for the demonstration purpose. Based on your sizing thing, you can decide how many cores you need. Okay, so I'll select 2 core. So select storage account. Yeah, let me just, yeah, okay. So I'll just create new storage account here. I'll give it a name. Let's say mgmt dash storage. Oops. Oh, I think it doesn't take the dash. Oh, I think it takes the lowercase letter only, so just change it to lowercase. Oops, this seems to be okay. Let's say okay. Okay, if you want to allow access from any particular one, then you particular IP and subnet you can define there also. Let's say okay. Yes, I need to purchase it. Let's say purchase. Okay, so we can see submitting deployment for checkpoint ret, and in the top notification you can see the status. So by the time it's going on, I'll just go ahead and I'll just go to the marketplace again, and I will, let me see, okay, here we go, and I will now launch the cluster also. Okay, so I'll select checkpoint vSEC cluster byol tunic, launch it, say create. Again we need to define certain things, so just give it a cluster name. So I'll say cp cluster and username and password. Okay, so username is admin by default. I'm just giving the password here. So this is for the Gaia portal, and to do an SSH to the your members, I'll create a resource group, say cp cluster, say okay. Okay, let's define the virtual network. Now here select the vnet first, and the subnet. So here you will need to define the external and internal subnets. We already created the subnet, we'll just associate here. So on the external side we'll have external, on internal we'll just change to internal. Say okay. Go to step 3. Size, the virtual machine size we need to select. So for demonstration purpose, let me click on view all. Okay, I can see the 2 core is there. I'll just select 2 core. So this is based on your sizing, you decide, and also like based on the number of the license that you have for the number of cores, you take the select the size of the virtual machine. Storage account you want to, you can create new, and SEC key, this is for the trust between management and gateway. Running final validation, say okay. Okay, so you can see deployment is in process. Deployment is started. Okay, so let me just see what is the IP address that we have to the management server. Click on it is 0, and okay, so public IP address is 13.75. let me just copy this. I'll just copy paste this IP to the my notepad. Okay, and I'll just try to do a ping. Okay, I can reach from my laptop. Now let's just try to do an HTTPS. Okay, this prompting for the certificate, that's good. And username is admin, and we're given the whatever the password we're given. Okay, the system is being configured, please try again later. Okay, so I think it takes some time, so some process would be coming up. We'll wait for some time, we'll give some time to the process to come up. Okay, so it seems to be okay now. So this is the management Gaia portal of RAT. Let's look at the okay, so we need to enable the dashboard admin. So here if we go to the let me just show you something here. Is the management administrator. I think it should be downside. Okay, so I think it's here, management administrator under maintenance. Okay, so you see the management administrator, the current user is not defined, so I think we need to do an SSH, and from there we need to define the administrator using the cpconfig command. So I have already done it actually, just post the video, I did it. Let me just show you. Okay, hold on. Actually no, I'll just show you how it's exactly done. Let me just go up. Okay, here you can see, do you want to add an administrator? I said yes, and yeah, and I said, do you want to add administrator? Yes. Do you want to use Gaia administrator? So I'm using the Gaia administrator for the management also, for the dashboard login also. Okay, so using the cpconfig you just enable it, and you can see now here Gaia admin. Earlier it was saying not defined. Let me just log in from the dashboard now. Let me just see the, just get the IP address of the, okay, let me just go to the public IP addresses. Okay, so here you can see the public IP. So automatically it has created one cluster IP and two member IPs. So we got three public IP addresses assigned here by default. If you can open this object, you can see what are the IP addresses assigned. Okay, so I'm already logged into RAT management server. Now let's try to add the cluster here. Let's say wizard. Okay, let's just see what is the IP address. So just copy the cluster public IP address. Just put it here. Oops, I need to, I think, cluster name we give it cp cluster, and availability. Load sharing is not supported, so we'll just select the availability, and I'll add the cluster members here. Okay, so I'll give it a name, let's say okay, so I'll say cp cluster 1, and let me just see the IP address 10.0.0. I think it's okay. Let me look at the okay, 10.0.0.5 is the external IP, and because I'm bringing the management server into the external site, so I'm giving the external one. Okay, activation key, so this is the same SEC key that we given, so I'm just making a trust between management and gateway. Yes, it's okay. Same thing, let's do for the secondary as well. Okay, let's do same thing for the secondary. Ten dot 0.1.4 oh, 0.56, yeah. Everything looks okay. Cluster synchronization, and secondary also, another also the cluster synchronization. Finish. So in Azure actually it doesn't Azure doesn't support the multi-class, so multicast, so we use the Azure API for cluster failover using the PowerShell script, or the Python script we'll use for the clustering here. Okay, so I can see my cluster members are there now. Okay, let me just check the anti-spoofing. I think okay, just check the anti-spoofing is disabled. Okay, for now it is disabled, let it be disabled then. Let me check it for DTL1 also. Okay, here also it is disabled, seems okay. So I just I'm already having a rule, so I'll just change it the name. So I'll say any allow. Just click on install policy. Let's install. 40% done. You can see the progress. You can see like in RAT the policy installation time has been reduced a lot. Okay, let's try to do an SSH to the members. Let me just grab the IPs. Okay, because we are logging for the first time. Next on CPH prop is with state. So it says the local is standby, so the one is the standby member. Let's log into the secondary one. I think I need to get the correct IP. Okay, 17. Let me just see now. Okay, now we are into cluster 2. To CPHA probe state. So the cluster 2 is which is local, is the active one. So what I'm going to do is I'll just go to the dashboard. I'll change the cluster property so that cluster 1 can become the primary one. Let me just see the cluster property here. Go to cluster Excel and VRRP and switch to higher priority cluster member. Yeah, let's say okay, and just okay, let's push the policy. Okay, so the policy push is good. Let's try this status again. Okay, so I'm seeing the cluster 1 is active now, and yeah, so okay, good. Okay, so here you can see like the script that is showing here. Yeah, so this is the script that you need to run for the cluster. Okay, so once you run the script, you will get the application ID and the password, and that you put into the azure-ha.json file, which is on the both the members. You can see in step number 3 on each of the cluster member edit the JSON file. So I already copied this into my notepad. So basically in Azure, basically the, as I said, the multicast node supported. So using the Azure API call, we basically change the UDR to the from primary to secondary. So we'll see that how basically the failover happens. So, yeah. So once you run this, you will get basically like this thing, and then here in the JSON script, you need to go to the each member and change the put that application ID and the password. And there is one script to do a test also. And using the azure_ha_test py, yeah, here you can basically check whether your cluster configuration or the Python script is okay. So this is the script, I already copied it. Now I'll just go to the PowerShell. I'll just run this script. I'll define the resource group. Let me just check the resource group here. So cp-clust is the resource group, so I need to change this. So I'll just run this script in part so that if there is an error I should be able to see. Let's set the resource group. Now I'll just add the login to the Azure account from the PowerShell. I've just given my username, password, and say next. So yeah, I've just given my password. So here you can see the application ID and the password has been generated, right? I'll go ahead and I'll edit this file into both the members. So I'll just put client ID in the client secret, and I'll pause it and I'll come back once that is done. So you should just need to put your credential here. That's it. So I already done it. On both the members you need to do this. So I already done that. And just validate the syntax. In case in editing something has been changed, you can validate. Okay, reload the cluster script. Okay, let's create the we'll create the route table, and we'll associate this route table to both the subnets. Okay, so this is basically the UDR. So I'll say route table RT, and I will just use the existing one. Make sure like you keep your route table into the same resource group. If you keep into the different resource group, then you need to make sure that your application ID and the credential have access to that resource group also. The same thing is mentioned here. So you can keep it into the different resource group as well, but you need to make sure that you have the contributor role to the route table used by the subnet. So in my case I'm just keeping the route table into the same resource group where my cluster is. So I'm just keeping into the CP cluster. So this is the one thing you need to check in case you don't see your routes are not basically changing after the failover. So it could be the problem. So let's see. Okay, so the route table has been created. I'll just open it. Go to route and I will add the route here. So let's say I'll say default, and the next hop I'll say if anything 000. This is the default route, and the if anything is go to the for anything go to the next hop as a primary member IP address, it is 10.0.1.4. So whenever the failover will happen, automatically this route table will change to the 1.5, the secondary member IP. So if the primary goes down, this route table will change. We'll see that. And we'll associate the subnet also. You can associate subnet directly from here also. So this route table I'll put into the web and the DB subnet. Okay, let's associate the DB also. Okay, so what we are doing is we just added a route table saying that on subnet web and DB everything should go to the 10.0.1.4. Okay. Otherwise, if you don't have the route table, it will directly go to your internet gateway. It will take the default route, Azure route only. So now let's try to launch an Windows server like our web server. R2 data center, let's create. I'll give it a name, let's say web server. Okay, give it a username, password, and this one you keep into any resource group. You can use existing one or you can create the new one. So I'll just keep it into, let's say, I'll move into the management one. Again the same thing, you define the size of your machine, Windows machine. Oh, I think I lost the internet in between, so that's okay. So the server is being ready. Now let me just do one thing. Okay, so I just paused the video and I just to save some time, and I created this rule. So you can see that here, like the traffic source is any in the destination 10.0.5, which is the 0.5, which is the external IP of the member 1, and the port is 3389. This rule is created to get the access remote desktop of the web server. Okay, 10.0.2.4. okay, and the so this is rule 1 is for the primary member. Once the failover will happen, the second rule will be activated. So for that purpose we created the two rules. You can just go through the article, SK article. The netting concept is very well mentioned there. These are three IP addresses. Okay, let me just restart the session. Okay, so there's one thing I missed to tell you, like there's an HA script after you do the your HA configuration. You run this script to see your credentials are good and your HA configuration is good. Just run it on both the members and you should see all the tests are successful. The same thing is mentioned in the article as well. Okay, let me now just try to do an MSTSC to the cluster IP address. Yes, I can log into the, I'm getting the prompt for the web server. Okay, so you can see I'm into the web server 10.0.2.4. Let me just try to see if I can go to the internet. This is the one of the good thing in R80. You don't need to switch multiple console. From the rule itself you can see the logs for individual rule and automatically the filter gets applied into the same window. Okay, let me just try it again. I think earlier I missed something, or let me just try to ping to internet some folder to the to Google DNS. Oops. Oh, think that, yeah, I remember now. I missed to add the NAT. I need to do the netting here, so I'll just enable the hide net on the cluster object. Just launch the another Windows for the DB server also at the time. encryption process. Let's just finish this first and we'll do it the okay. So we change the net, right? After that we push the policy. Now okay, you can basically enable everything, anti-bot and all the things on the single gateway. You can do anti-bot, antivirus, IPS, each and everything. Oh, I think I have not defined the DNS, so that is also important to get the internet connectivity from gateway to the internet. Let's just first finish this. If we get the time, we'll do some. Okay, I can go to the internet now after adding the net. It seems it's going. Let me just see what is my IP. I had this. So here you can see this is the cluster IP. (132). Okay, let's just okay, let's close this for now. Okay, now we go to the log table. We just have a look. So it's pointing to okay, web subnet, TV subnets are there. So you can see now the route table is pointing to 10.0.1.4. So as I said earlier, when we do the failover, it should basically change it. So let's check the status again. So we are seeing the cluster 1 is the active member, and I'll just do a failover. So I'll just shut down the inside interface of the member 1. Okay, so the local is down now, it is failed over. And let's see this one. Okay, so this one is now the local is active. Now let's see if the UTR has been changing. Okay, so if you look at here already that it has been changed to 10.0.1.5 automatically, right? So when the primary member is down already for a web and DB, we are saying the default route is now changed to do the 1.5. okay, so failover takes some time. The timing of the failover is specifically mentioned on the article. You can go ahead and you can check that how much time it takes for the failover. Let me just try to take the RDP on the cluster IP. Yes, I am getting it. So you can see the primary member is down, but still I am able to log into my web server through the secondary one. We'll just validate this thing into the log. Let me just log in. Yes. Go to logs. Now here you can see, yeah, you look at this. So the source is my IP address and destination is CP cluster 2. So the traffic is going, and you see the older log, we were going via the cluster 1. After the failover, on the top you can see, yeah, here if you see it is going to now the cluster 2, right? Now we can also test the outbound access again from through the secondary member, so I can still able to go to the internet. Right, so that's cool. We can basically check this thing in log as well. Okay, so in the background I basically start deploying the DB server as well. You can see it's in process. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, if you look at the routes, so we just have the default route as of now, right, which is pointing to 10.0 or 1.5. Okay, so if we want the web and the DB traffic to be go via the checkpoint, we need to add more specific route, so that any traffic towards web or towards DB should go to the checkpoint. So we'll need to add the 10.0.2.0 and 10.0.3.0 destination route. So I'll just okay, let this finish first, I think. Okay, let me just again SSH to the primary member. And I'll just make the port down. I'll just make the port up. Oh, seems that I'm running onto the cluster 2. I should run on the cluster 1. Sorry. So I'll just go ahead and I'll make it up. Sorry. Oops. Yeah. So now if I see cpha probe stat, okay, I can see now. Good. Oops. Okay, so now let's go to just check our UDR. It should be now pointing back to d1.4. Yeah, that's correct. So failover may take some time. Okay, let's now go to the load balancer. So we do basically, okay, so here you see the front-end IP pools associated. So these are the front-end IP pools. As of now they are associated for the cluster members. So these are by default automatically assigned when we launch the cluster instance. And these are the inbound rule for you. We use the front-end load balancer to do the netting. For if you are like, for example, web servers, multiple web servers running the application on HTTP and HTTPS, and each IP basically associate with the cluster member. Okay, so now we see the failover has been happened, and now we can log in back again. Okay, now let me just run one more test here. So from the web server I will now try to log into the DB server, because they both are into the same subnet, right? Different subnet, but they are into the, by default Azure have the routing between all the subnets. So I can log in. So if I see cpadmin, okay, so we are on 10.0.3.4. okay, let me just validate the IP. Okay. Oh. Okay, so let's see the web servers. Let's put in filter for the source web server. Okay, we don't see the any traffic from web server to the DB server coming to the checkpoint at the moment. This even we are having the default route. Okay, the reason is the Azure is doing the subnet routing by default, so we need to add more specific route to route the traffic between web to the DB. So we'll just do that. Let me now go to the route table once again, and go to the route table, and I'll add the two routes. So 2 DB and 2 web. We just have added the both the routes. Oops, oh, I think I missed to given the ROM subnet mask there. Let me just try to edit again. I'll say 2 web and 10.0.2.0/24. So now after adding the route, let me just try to access the DB from the web server again, and we'll validate if the traffic is now being going via the checkpoint gateway. Okay, now let's go to the log. Let me just refresh it. So we are seeing the source is web server. We need to look for the destination. Okay, perfect. So you see here, now the traffic is coming via the checkpoint. We can see the traffic now, right? So this is how we use the UDR to redirect the traffic to the checkpoint, and then whatever the security policy you want to put it, you can basically have it. So on the DB server, I'm just going to run the ISS just for the demonstration purpose, so that we'll try to do a NAT. static net, so my web server I can basically access from the internet. Let me just try to see. I think it has been done. Just try to see localhost if I can. Let me just see if that page is working. Okay, I can get the ISS page. Now we'll try to see how we do the netting. These are the inbound net rules, and here basically we define the redirection. So as of now I'm just seeing two IP addresses here in the front end IP address. So we just need to create one more IP address. So let's do one thing here. Okay, so if I go to the public IP address and I'll just try to add one more IP here. I'll just take the new public IP address to do a static net to the web server. Okay, and here basically you can tag dynamic static. Let it be the dynamic for now. If you want you can have static. I think this okay, so use existing one, CP cluster group only. Deployment started. Okay, let's go to the load balancer now and go to the front end IP pool and just try to add that public IP address whatever we created, try to add it here. So I'll say front end web net, and okay, now I can see the available web net public IP address is available here. I'll just add it here. Now you can use this IP address into your inbound net rules. So using the inbound net rules you can basically do the port redirection. Okay, it is still into the process. Okay, I can see an entry here now. Okay, let's go to inbound net rules and just try to add one new rule here and give it some name. Let's say inbound web net. Okay, and I'll just select the IP address, public IP address that I just created, and service. So any traffic from the internet will head on the port 80, and while sending it to the checkpoint gateway, I'll just do the port forwarding. I'll just select the, and also I need to define the target here. So I'll select the CP cluster 1. So once the failover will happen, this particular target will automatically change to CP cluster 2, and here I'll just basically do the port redirection. Okay, so I'll say 8080. So it will listen on port 80. When it will send the traffic to the checkpoint member, it will send on 8080. And we'll need the net tool also for the same. So I'll just try to, let me see if I can copy paste and I can change the port here. Okay, okay, finally I can copy paste. So I'll just change the port here. So if it is coming to 8080, then I'll say the 8080 here. I'll just drag top. Okay, so the two rules, one is when the primary is active, another one is when the secondary is become the master. And I'll add the DB server object here. Give IP address 10.0.3.4. say okay, DB server, and I'll have the DB server here, and I'll go ahead and push the policy. Let me just see if everything is okay. Yeah, oh, one thing I missed, I need to change the port again to the 80, because when it's sent to the web server, it should send on the port 80. Okay, now I can just push the policy. So now you see here, this is the public IP address which is bind to the CP cluster 1, right? And the policy has been pushed. Let's try to access this. If we can get to the web page. Yes, I can get the server web page here. And we can verify in the logs as well. Okay, you can see here like the 8080 request is coming, right? Okay, so let's do one thing. We'll try to do a failover and we'll see how exactly things changes. So you can see now it is bind to the CP cluster 1 in the webnet is basically with 2, and we'll just try to do a failover. I think I just copied some wrong IP. Let's see. System by oops, I think I've done mistake. It was already in secondary. I was on secondary. I thought I was on primary. I'll just make it up and I'll just go on to the so this is standby. I'll just go back on to the primary one. Okay, so this one is active. I'll just do the failover here. I'll just make the port down so that traffic can move to the secondary one. Yeah, so this is local is down. Okay, so the local is active here. Now if we go to the Azure portal, let's just refresh it, close it, open it again, and it takes some time. The failover takes some time, so we need to check for some time. You can see the old entry has been gone, so I think the API call is in process. We'll need to wait for some time. and you can of course see that the time required, I think it should 3 minutes. The change normally takes effect under 3 minutes, so we need to wait for the time. So now you can see now it has been, the webnet has been moved to the yeah, you can see that it hasn't moved to the CP cluster 2, right? So I'll just let me verify the IP once again. I think okay, I think the IP okay, they are not taken the static IP, so the IP has been changed because of the failover, but you can keep it static, and from the same IP you should be able to browse it. Yeah, so I can basically able to, and we can validate the same thing onto the logs as well. So if you look at here, I'm saying the destination is the cluster 2, so the traffic is coming to the cluster 2, and we can basically, we are able to reach to the web server even after doing a failover. So guys, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you would have enjoyed. If you have any feedback, any comment, please let me know. Thank you. Bye bye.